Hello, everybody. Welcome into another edition of Prime Sports World, and a very happy Friday to everybody out there on Facebook, YouTube, and on the Twitch. Thank you very much for checking us out here at Prime Sports World. This is our Cleveland Browns season preview as we're switching into the AFC North now. I'm, of course, your host, David On Point Huffman. Right there is my co-host, Mr. TJ Hopkins. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. Please, check us out here. We give you guys content on a consistent basis, including previewing the seasons for every NFL team before the season gets started. Let's talk DJ. Well, man, I got some. So I don't know if you have a Fitbit or ever owned a Fitbit, but you become like very attached to it, right? I'm so used to it tracking like my steps and my sleep and all that noise. And mine just decided it was finished. Like it's just done with me. Like it was starting to a point where I was just vibrating uncontrollably. I wasn't sure if it was going to explode or something, so I took it off, and I haven't put it back on.
Well, time for a new Fitbit. That's all.
Man, they're expensive, man. You make it seem like I can just go get a brand new one. Like I'm just gonna go buy a brand spanking new one. Like they're expensive, dude.
I mean, if it's something that you care about, then don't cut corners. Go get it.
Yeah, I know. I didn't expect it to die all of a sudden out of nowhere.
How long have you had it?
I probably had the same one for like 4 years, maybe.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I mean, but it just I guess it's just tired of my BS, and it was just like I'm done. Switching gears back over to the Cleveland Browns. By the way, this will be the last podcast I'm on for over a week, as I'm going on vacation tomorrow to Colorado. Actually, Sterling. Izzy's going to hold down the fort, as I sent him a bunch of graphics for a bunch of shows, including the free agency show, which has gotten off to a hot start so far. They'll be breaking that down sometime next week. But here we go. Cleveland Browns, man. What do you got to say real quick?
There's no more excuses now. Like you gotta get back on this thing.
It's time for put up or shut up time.
Yeah, like you basically bailed Deshaun Watson out. You paid him for stuff. You basically pay him for what he's gonna be, what you're hoping he is, versus what he's actually done. And yeah, like we are tired of talking about the Cleveland Browns looking good on paper.
Yep.
Like
let's talk about it.
Go ahead. It's kind of the age-old story with them too.
So let's talk for the first storyline right out of the gates. Can Deshaun Watson regain his form? At one point, he was a borderline MVP caliber football player. Not last season. 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He missed the first 11 games due to that suspension, due to all this stuff off the field that we're not going to get into necessarily on this particular show.
Mm-hmm. But it's also been talked about ad nauseum.
Yeah, we don't need to rag on about it. But back to him on the football field. Yeah, he just wasn't good last season. So can he regain his form that he showed when he was in Houston and he was like a legit MVP candidate?
What was it? He was on his way to win, I think, Rookie of the Year. He got out to before he tore his ACL. He had like
practice.
I think it was a game. Was it practice or a game?
No, it was sure in a practice.
He had got out to 19 touchdowns to 7 interceptions, and then he tears his knee up, and the rest is history. Like then that 1 year in Houston, they missed the playoffs, not because of him, but because they lost so many one-score games. And it was him.
The last season he played in Houston, 2020, he threw for 4,800 yards. I think he led the NFL in passing yards that particular season. He also threw for 33 touchdowns and 7 picks. He was excellent that season, and Houston Texans, I think, won 4. They won 4 games that year.
They won 4 games, and like one of the sounds of the season was him and J.J. Watt walking off the field together. Like he was basically apologizing to him. He was like, "I'm so sorry, dude. We should have." Expletive language, like expletive word, like we should have effing 10, 11 wins. And yeah, they were going home at the end of the season, like they were done. But for Cleveland, he has to get back to that. Like there's no other way around it. Again, we are retired of talking about them. Just on paper, they look amazing. They're this, they got this guy, that guy. Yeah. You got perennial DPOY candidate Miles Garrett. Like it's enough's enough. Can Deshaun Watson regain his form? I hope so. Like he's not distracted this year. He doesn't have to worry about going to court. You don't have to worry about none of that. All that stuff is pretty much done. He can solely focus on his job, which is playing football. And like to your point, like so I'm a big Madden guy. I play Madden a lot, and I think what was it? I think last year's Madden, he was not in the game. Like he was in the game, but he wasn't in the game. Like his ratings were like completely nuked, David. Like it went from whatever he normally is. Like they had him nuked all the way down to like a 12 overall. It's like because I'm like, where's Deshaun Watson? And I go all the way to the free agent screen for quarterbacks, and I'm scrolling and I'm scrolling. I got all the way down to the bottom, and there he is, 12 over. I'm like, Jesus Christ! Like they just completely nuked him. And I'm sure certain players don't give a damn about their Madden rating. Some do, some don't. But can he regain his form? It's not like he has to. Like he absolutely, positively has to. For the money they gave him, for the stuff they gave up to get him, yeah. Like he has to throw for 4,000 yards this season, otherwise it's null and void.
I agree with you. I think he for sure can get back to the form that he had when he was a borderline MVP candidate, and the weapons are there in Cleveland for him to regain that form. I mean, this is a better receiving core than he even had the season that he was amazing in Houston. I mean, this wide receiving core. I mean, Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, Jones, Cedric Tillman, Marquise Goodwin, who's been excellent in so far in training camp. David Njoku, who's a good football player. Harrison Bryant. Like this is a better football team on paper than the team that he had in Houston. He could for sure regain his form. I think it's all up here for him right now. He's up into the head. Like he's just got to regain that form that he had before. Moving on to the second topic, let's talk about Kevin Stefanski. Do you think he's on the hot seat? Like, if this season doesn't go particularly well, do you think there's a legit chance he could get fired if things don't go well?
Yes, because it's the same thing. Like, it's every year, like, roster on paper, Cleveland Browns have one of the best rosters, right? Every year. And then all of a sudden, they always somehow come up short. And eventually, you're gonna place they've been placing the blame on two positions for 30 years. It's head coach, quarterback. Those two, like that combination, just can't get right. They've had just as many head coaches as they had quarterbacks. You know, the jersey that's in that one store window with the quarterback names. That's literally they have pieces of paper stapled to it because that's how many different starting quarterbacks they've had. Thinking this is the guy, and then all of a sudden they're scratching that name off and adding a new name, and they legit thought Baker Mayfield was the guy, right? They did everything right by Baker Mayfield. They best offensive line, best running back room, best receiving room, top 10 defense, and Baker Mayfield was good enough to get you 8 wins.
And, I mean, he did take you to the playoffs and had a good season that year. But yeah, it's been a mixed bag for sure. I think I agree with you. I mean, he's given like every opportunity to be successful. If the Cleveland Browns come up another season where they struggle, I think the finger blaming, it's not going to go to Deshaun Watson, I don't think, because of the money they paid him. It is much easier to remove the head coach than it would be to remove a Deshaun Watson who's making $50 million a year. He's on the hot seat for sure. I don't even know what else needs to be said. Like he just is. Like
I mean, like it's
fair or not.
Fair or not, right? Like, but it's the adjustment. So I saying like, and we saw this, like we see this all the time, right? A team gets a new head coach, they do relatively well, right? New season comes around, and it's like they don't do as well. Why? Because one, your schedule gets just a little bit harder. Your stuff the stuff that you do, the stuff that caught people off guard last season is now on tape. So now they know what to look out for. Certain calls, certain cadence, and certain formations. And that's kind of what Kevin Stefanski is going through. That first year, it was, all right, this is new. Like, this is, like, yeah, he was somebody else's OC, but now he can, like, he's in charge of the offense. It's his show. Now, like, you go through that year, you have your minor successes. The following year, it's all right. Oh, yo, we've seen this, and we saw this on film. We know what's coming.
Yep.
Like, we know
But
what's
yeah,
coming.
he's for sure on the hot seat. Let's move on to topic number 3. We're talking about Myles Garrett. Is he going to get some help this season in the pass rushing department? So he had 38 quarterback pressures last season. Nobody else on the team had more than 12. He had 16 sacks last season. Nobody else on their team had. How many? How many do you think the next highest guy had on the Cleveland Browns last season?
Okay, say what he had again.
16. What do you think the
16.
next highest guy? What?
This is sacks. 16
Yeah.
sacks.
What was the how many did the next highest guy have on Cleveland last season?
4.
Wrong. You're too high. Taven Bryan, who's no longer on this team, put up 3 sacks last season, and he was the second most quarterback pressures at 6. Or no, sorry. Javion Clowney had 12, but he's not really a sack guy. He only had 2.5 or 2 sacks last season, but 3 sacks by Taven Bryan, 16 for Myles Garrett, 38 quarterback pressures, 12 the next highest guy on the team. Can they get some help for Myles Garrett? And who's going to be the guy to provide that help?
Now that's the part I don't know. It's like they have to, because it becomes real. It's easier said than done. It becomes real easy to, hey, I'm just gonna slide protection to whatever side Myles Garrett on, and if that's not enough, I got a running back. I'm gonna keep a running back or a fullback back there to chip off him. And we say this all the time about a certain player, right? If you go to the Cleveland Browns and whoever else is on their D line, if they have the game of their life, if they get to the quarterback 4 times in the game, but Myles Garrett doesn't, and you lose that game to the Cleveland Browns, you know what you say? Hey man, good game.
Yep.
I don't care that. Give me a D lineman on the roster right now, just somebody.
So they just traded for Zarius Smith. We'll talk about him later. They did sign Dalvin Tomlinson as well, who's a good football player. But Jordan Elliott, Jeremiah Osu-Koromoa.
Perfect. First round, high draft pick, right? Owusu-Koramoah.
2 second round pick 2 seasons ago. Was
Perfect.
Injured all of last year, I think.
Perfect. So if Owusu-Koramoah has 3 sacks, and you lose that game, but Myles Garrett has like literally no pressures, no sacks, no nothing. Maybe maybe 2-3 tackle for losses, but Owusu-Koramoah has the game of his life. Like, he's like basically in your backfield before the ball is hiked, and you lose that game. You know, you walk to the middle of the field, you shake everybody's hand. Hey, good luck down the road. But I'm not letting Myles Garrett.
TJ, how did I know you were going to say that exact phrase?
I'm not letting Myles Garrett mess up my backfield, bro. I'm not letting that happen. So you can almost ask for a help by committee thing. Like, it's unfair. Like, we are, because like I guarantee you, like, they going into the game. Hey, Myles is gonna be Myles. Like the Cleveland Brass is like, Myles is gonna. I don't have to worry about Myles Garrett getting his numbers, which is why they brought in the Darius Smith, and we'll get to that.
Yep.
So yeah, like I'm Myles, but Myles Garrett also kind of has to be that voice and be like, kind of selfishly, in a way, be like, hey, I can't do this by myself. He don't strike me as that type of player.
He does not strike me as that guy either. So,
but after a while, it's like somebody got to light the fire underneath the rest of the guys, and it has to be him, or it has to be I'm trying to think.
on their roster, Denzel Ward has kind of been one of those guys. Like
it has to be somebody like that, like a Denzel Ward. Grant Delpit's been there for a minute. Like, yeah, somebody like that has to be like, hey, Myles can't.
Taki's been a guy. Taki's been a guy who's been there for a while too.
Like, it's like somebody got to be like, hey man, we got to help the big man out. Because like, we go as he go. Right.
We'll see what ends up happening and who's going to help out Myles Garrett. Let's swing into their draft. Obviously, they were extremely limited when it comes to their draft, as opposed to their first 2 first-round picks. Went to Houston as part of the Deshaun Watson trade, but they did trade. They get Cedric Tillman, a wide receiver out of Tennessee, in their 3rd round. They took Akia, a defensive tackle out of Baylor. I didn't pronounce that name at all. Good.
Siaki
Dwan
Ika,
Jones. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Dwan Jones fell in the 4th round.
Steele.
Offensive tackle out of Ohio State. Isaiah McGuire, edge out of Missouri. Dorian Thompson Robinson, a backup quarterback out of UCLA. Cameron Mitchell, cornerback out of
Steele.
Northwestern. And then Luke Wilper, center out of Ohio State. Dealt with some injuries, so I think he might not play this season, but he was at one point considered the best center in this draft. To get him in the 6th round is really good value. And I will say this, based on the fact they didn't have 2 first round, they didn't have a pick in the 1st or 2nd round. I think they did
This is a solid draft.
They did a bang up job in this draft. Cedric Tillman is a steal. I think he's better than some of the wide receivers that went before him. I can't think of any of the names right now because I've been doing a lot of packing and moving around.
His teammate Jalen Hyatt went 2nd round ahead of him. I legit think Jalen Hyatt had a great season for Tennessee, but we already know the game that got Jalen Hyatt drafted, and it was that game he just went berserk on Alabama. Cedric Tillman, absolute steal in the 3rd round.
He was the best wide receiver on that Tennessee Volunteers team the season before, but he didn't have a good season. When it really mattered, right? His draft season, and it hurt his draft stock. But he's a better player than Jonathan Mingo, who went the 2nd round to the Carolina Panthers. I think he's better than Jaden Reed, the kid that went to Green Bay Packers. Let me see here. I think he's better than Rashee Rice. I think that's close though. Out of SMU, he's for sure better than Marvin Mims.
SMU. Oh yeah, he's absolutely better than Big 12 Marvin receivers. Yeah, brother to what's his name, Denzel Mims. Big 12 receivers you got to feed like Big 12 quarterbacks. You got to feed with a long handle spoon because like the defense is just so wide open and it's like
because of the spread and all that good stuff.
But
I love what they did with this draft. I think Dwan Jones is another guy that they got as a steal in the 4th round. He should be able to play some legitimate minutes for them, snaps for them this season. Like I think they did it. This is a borderline A- draft.
Yeah, B plus A minus. Yeah, I'll give it that. All the guys they picked up minus Thompson Robinson because he's a backup.
He's a project at the quarterback position.
Should literally everybody outside of Thompson Robinson and Whippler should probably be contributing, like rotational guys.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So if I can pull up their
I got their depth chart right here. What are you looking at?
Where's Cedric Tillman on the depth chart?
So he's currently listed as their 4th wide receiver, behind Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, and Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Okay, that's fair. That's fine. That's fine.
Yep,
that's fine.
Luke Weipler, I'm not pronouncing that well at all, but he's the backup center right now. I guess he wasn't injured. I don't know why he fell in the draft. Ika is the backup left defensive tackle behind Alvin Tomlinson, who they signed in free agency.
Makes sense.
Cameron Mitchell's pretty far there on the depth chart. I don't know how much he's actually going to play this season.
Special teamer.
Yeah, special teamer. But yeah, I think they did a great job with this draft. Like this.
Where's Isaiah McGuire, the edge they got out of in the 4th round?
He's the 3rd backup. So did Darius Smith, Okariku, and Isaiah McGuire is behind him. So
rotation.
Yep.
Fine.
Dwan Jones is the 3rd backup right tackle. I think they did a pretty solid job. Given that they didn't have a 1st or 2nd round pick, I think they did a great job with this draft and the way they manipulated the draft board. Kudos.
I mean, I'm pretty sure they're tired. They're tired of saying the same thing. Like on paper, we gotta stop saying on paper the Cleveland Browns this. Like you're trying to get back in that race that is the AFC North. No one ain't nobody talking about y'all no more.
Yep. So we'll see. Moving on to their free agency class, obviously notable additions. Dalvin Tomlinson. They stole Juwan Thornhill from the Kansas City Chiefs, reigning Super Bowl champs. Juwan Thornhill. You make the Super Bowl champs worse and you get better. Pretty solid move there. Elijah Moore, who they traded for. I think they gave up a 2nd round pick and then flipped the 3rd for Elijah Moore. Okariku was a free agent signing. They traded for Zarius Smith. I think they gave up a draft pick for next season. I don't really remember. The key departures, Greedy Williams, who was a rotation cornerback for them. Javion Clowney, who was their starting right edge. And then Kareem Hunt, who was a solid piece to this team when he was playing, but
Well, we
hasn't
kind
been
of
signed.
yeah,
The
we kind
writing
of
was on
saw
the wall.
yeah, right was on the wall with that one. Greedy Williams was ain't ain't a not a bit. Greedy Williams was a bust for them. I think Greedy Williams was a first round draft pick for them back
Uh,
in.
you might be
Hold
right.
on, hold on. Greedy Williams. I'm pulling it up, pulling it up. He was a second round draft pick. I take that back. Was a second round draft pick back in 2019,
Yep, second
and
round pick. Yeah, he played 3 seasons there. He
you're
didn't
already
play a
on your
lot.
second team.
Yeah.
So wait, 12 games his rookie year. Did not play the injury in the COVID year. 16 games in 2021. 11. So 39 out of 39 games for the Cleveland Browns. You have two
Two
career
picks.
picks, 10 pass deflections, which is actually pretty decent, um, and one career forced fumble. So for a second round draft
And
pick,
I think they were using him in special teams last season because he played in 11 games, but he only amounted to 11 tackles. So that feels like a special teamer to me, but
right?
I could be wrong.
And yeah, we absolutely could be wrong. I'm
Yeah.
not 100% sure either. But you get better with Juan Thornhill. Elijah Moore was literally just. I just think he's just happy to be out of New York.
I agree with you on that. Even though we got Aaron Rodgers now, I might utilize him a little bit better. But yeah, I think he'll change the scenery. Was going to be good for him, and I think he's a good complement to Amari Cooper, where they already have on their roster.
But yeah, he's a slot guy. He's a speedy guy. He's all that other good stuff. Um, Obviously he was made fun of because he demanded the trade, and you were definitely one of those guys like who the hell is this guy to be demanding anything? And it's like, well, disgruntled players are disgruntled players. Like stars aren't the only players that get unhappy.
Yeah,
And
I mean, if you think your value is worth more than you're being presented, I mean, you're going to be unhappy. But yeah, I mean, I think a change of scenery is going to be solid for him. I kind of like what they've done here. Like, I like the Sedarius Smith addition to this team. He's somebody who
mm-hmm.
gets after the quarterback in a pretty big way. I love the Juan Thornhill signing.
Thornhill pick, yeah.
And I also love the Delvin Tomlinson signing. He's a really good at like defensive tackle. He doesn't get a lot of pressure under the quarterback. He's never had more than 3.5 sacks in the season, but he is a good run stopper.
Now you constructed this roster for 3 quarterbacks, really. 2 of them are in your own division, right? You're chasing Lamar Jackson, you're chasing Joe Burrow, and eventually, if you're past cross with that man in Kansas City, you got to have enough guys on the other end to stop him. So if you're the Cleveland Browns, you're looking at it like this. Yeah, we're chasing those other 2 guys, but in our mind, the division's up for grabs. That guy in Pittsburgh who had the stranglehold in the division for all those years, he's gone. He's long gone. So we ain't got to worry about that no more. Like in your mind, like yeah, Joe Burrow's here, Lamar is here, but in your mind, in the Cleveland Browns' mind, this division is up for grabs. There's no like you're in going into. There's no reason why we can beat them. We can win this division. We can match up against Kansas City. And do I think Deshaun Watson can go toe to toe with Pat Mahomes? Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean he's proved it already.
Kinda like they was up 21 and then they blew it.
Yeah. Hate to see it, but yeah, that's the
Hate to see it. But yeah, like it's and your hope to the question that you asked about who's gonna help Myles Garrett, Dalvin Tomlinson, Zadarius Smith, like we like you don't have
proven commodities in that
proven commodities. You don't have to ask Zadarius Smith like that one year he had in Green Bay. Like, you don't have to ask that from him. Like you don't.
I mean, even in the season that was a quote unquote down season for him, he had 10 sacks last season. I mean, he's over the last outside of that. I guess he got injured in 2021 in Green Bay and only played 1 game. But 2019, 13.5, 2020, 12.5. Even his final season at Baltimore, he had 8.5 sacks. And then 2022, as a member of the Minnesota Vikings, 10 sacks.
10 sacks. So,
like, as a guy who's like always been kind of the other guy. I mean, you can't get much better as the other guy. than 10 sacks at the minimum, right? Like you're expecting 10 sacks out of him.
And then he goes to Green Bay where he's the guy and he has a career season. And it's like, even on a bad, quote unquote, bad defensive Vikings team, he got 10 sacks. Like, bro, if you give me anywhere from 6 to 10 sacks while Myles Garrett gets his number, yeah, that's a win. And Dalvin Tomlinson, if you can get me anywhere, if you can get 6 to 8 sacks from the DT spot, that's a win. Like Juan Thornhill,
I personally really like what they've done in free agency. I think Cleveland as a whole, I think their offseason has been really, like, they've done a bang up job improving this team this offseason.
But like the thing is, we've seen this before. Like literally with the Cleveland Browns. Like this is carbon copy like 10.0 with them. Like how many years have we seen the Cleveland Browns have a good draft, have a good free agency, and it amounts to nothing?
Yep. So let's talk about it. Let's get into the predictions. Let's talk about their record. They start the season with probably an unfortunate start to the season. Their beginning of their schedule is tough before they have an early bye. But they got to go to Cincinnati comes to town. A chance for Deshaun Watson to get right up on the right foot. But do they beat Cincinnati? This is the first game of the season.
No.
I'll agree with you on that. I think the Cincinnati Bengals they got better this offseason as well. We'll talk about them in a future episode. I think the Bengals win that game. From there, they go to Pittsburgh into what's now called Assurer Stadium. I'm still going to call it Heinz Field, and I don't care what anybody else says, in Pittsburgh. And they go to the Steelers, a team that was very close to making the playoffs last season. I think they missed it just because of some tiebreaker or something. But Mike Tomlin continues the streak of having winning seasons. 20 years in a row? Yeah. Do the Cleveland Browns go into Pittsburgh and get this victory?
Yes. Obviously, sorry, Steelers fans. I just don't have faith in that front seven for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like it's been a revolving door for them. Najee Harris having to do 50,000 moves just to get back to the line of scrimmage, so it's not a negative loss. Your saving grace is Kenny Pickett and George Pickens year 2 together. They're growing up together. They have a chemistry. You add a pissed off Allen Robinson looking to...
And Deontay Johnson's still good.
Deontay Johnson still. Pat Freiermuth is a top 10 tight end in this league.
Yep. And I think they did draft an offensive tackle. The kid from was it Jones? The kid from Georgia.
The other is it Darnell Jones, something like that.
That's not it.
That's not it.
No.
We'll get to it.
I don't. His name is totally escaping, but I am disagreeing with you. I think they lose this game. I think Pittsburgh's going to be better than people think.
You think Pittsburgh wins this game?
I think Pittsburgh wins this game. Yeah, I think they split with every team in the AFC North besides Cincinnati.
That would be perfect.
And then the next game, the Tennessee Titans come to town. I don't know what to make of Tennessee right now. I'm going to have them beat the Titans.
Next game.
Get back on their winning ways. I also think they beat Baltimore. This game is in Cleveland, so I think
I do not think they beat Baltimore. Do they beat Baltimore? I
think that game will be close.
This gotta be prime time slot. This gotta be a Monday night. This gotta be a 3:30 on CBS. This gotta be a Sunday night. This game gotta have all eyes on it.
This game is a 1:00 Eastern time.
Oh, Teddy.
They did you dirty. But that Pittsburgh game is on Monday Night Football. So
hey, the what you call it? The what's that shit called when they that should be any given that.
I disagree with you on that because it kind of screws over ticket holders. If you buy a ticket for a game and all of a sudden they flex it to prime time, it's like, what am I gonna do? Like, what if you got work?
No, it's not. Like the ticket's still good. You can
but if you plan to go to a game at 1:00, all of a sudden it becomes 7:00, and let's say you have work at 4 a.m. the next day, you're gonna be like,
you call off.
Not everybody's got sick days, TJ. Moving on. After their bye week, the San Francisco 49ers come to town. And yeah, I think they lose this game. I think San Francisco is going to be tough. I don't know who the quarterback's going to be at this point. Probably be Brock Purdy.
You don't think it matters?
He better be able to find that magic he found at the end of last season. As there's going to be a lot of tape on him now. We'll see if that ends up working out for him. But yeah, I got San Francisco beating Cleveland.
I don't think it's going to be Brock Purdy at quarterback. I think it's going to be Trey Lance. And I just dropped something. I just dropped my phone. My bad. Okay. I think it's going to be Trey Lance. And the reason my logic is that because it's you don't give up what you gave up to move up to get him and then just move off of him. So I'm going to go.
I guess it depends. It depends on how if Trey Lance ends up being the starter week 1, I think it matters how he plays.
I 100% believe that the 49ers are going to do a QB by week.
I agree with you on that
thing. But
I still think the pieces there in San Francisco, regardless of the quarterback position, I think are better than what Cleveland has. Because San Francisco, let's not pretend like San Francisco isn't loaded too. Like they have outside of the quarterback position, they have their team is.
Brock Purdy doesn't get hurt in that NFC Championship game. They very well could have beat Philly, and went to the Super Bowl. I agree with you. I think Trent Williams is one of maybe 3
top 10 players in the NFL.
I think Trent Williams is one of 3 left tackles where you can literally leave him by himself against Myles Garrett, and you're fine.
Yep. Moving on from there, we got 2 games back to back on the road. The first they go to Lucas Oil Stadium, the house that Peyton Manning built, and then they go to Seattle.
Next game.
In Lumen Fields. I think they beat Indianapolis. I think they lose to Seattle. I got them at 3-4.
Next, so they blow the doors off of Andy. Jim Irsay gonna be afraid to show his face after what they finna do to them. Nick Chubb, Nick Chubb 220.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Also, I think the game after that, they go again. The Arizona Cardinals coming to Cleveland. I think they also get the victory here as well. So I got them at 4-4, heading down the stretch of their season. As they go now, they go 2 games in the division. First, they go to Baltimore, and then Pittsburgh comes to town. How do you see those 2 games shaking out, TJ?
I agree with you on the split factor with. I agree with you with the split factor on Cincy and Baltimore. I think they split.
I don't think they split with Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati sweeps that series.
I think they split with Cincinnati. It's going to be the home and home. But can I see both Cincy and Baltimore sweeping them? Absolutely. Can I see Pittsburgh? Can I see Cleveland sweeping them? Maybe. They lose if everybody's healthy with Baltimore, Lamar, OBJ,
J.K. Dobbins.
J.K. Dobbins. Had to think for a minute. If they're healthy by this time, Baltimore wins, and then I think they sweep Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I think they lose that game to Baltimore, and I think they beat Pittsburgh. I think they split with Baltimore and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I have them now at 5-5 as we go down to the final 7 games of the season. The first game is where they go to Mile High and take on the Denver Broncos, a team where many people are projecting to be much improved based on what they've done this offseason. Bolster up that offensive line.
Not just
upgrade the head coaching position. Sean Payne over
that part.
His name is totally escaping me. I don't remember who it was. Luke Getsky? No, that's the guy.
No, it's not. It's Getsky.
Nathaniel Hackett. Thank you. What do you think happens here? Cleveland Browns, Denver Broncos.
Is this a primetime game?
It is not. It's 4:05. It is on Fox, which is weird.
That's a primetime game.
No, it's not.
Yeah, that's like Game of America, bro. Yeah.
I mean, I guess. I don't consider it primetime unless the game airs at 8:00. Anything, pretty much anything after after that noon. I respectfully disagree with you. So,
anything after that noon slate is considered 3:30. Yeah, that's prime. So like
I
this
don't,
is
I
Fox's.
don't, I just don't, I don't agree with that. So whatever.
If this is Fox's like game of the week, like that, that they do. Like the only
I
difference
know.
is it's not Aikman and Joe Buck calling the game.
Well, they work at ESPN now, so they wouldn't be called the game anyways. But
wait.
I'm
This is
having them
tough.
lose. I'm having them beat Denver. I'm not
Why?
totally sold. I'm not totally sold on Denver. And I think Cleveland's going to be a little bit better than them. And this game is one of those games. I
What?
think
Okay,
it's like
so
a straight up coin flip. Like I think this game is a coin flip.
what about Denver? Are you not sold on yet?
We will get to Denver when we get to it. I'm just saying I'm not completely sold on Denver. Those are a lot of moving pieces that they all have to kind of go in the right direction.
Okay.
We'll see what ends up happening.
Okay. I'm gonna go Denver in the field goal. I think they went off the altitude. I
And
think
they don't have Brandon McManus anymore. That's tragic.
you are
Moving on.
disrespectful.
Moving on to the next week, they stay out west. This time they go to SoFi Stadium and take on the Los Angeles Rams, coming off a very disappointing season. This game is also quote unquote in prime time at 4:25.
We're just your vacation cannot come fast enough.
I'm
Tired of you.
4:25 p.m. Eastern time. They go to SoFi Stadium. How do you see this game shaking out, TJ?
Like you said, like they had a disappointing season only because they were beat the hell. Like you see what they went through. Like Stafford hurt. What's his name? Cooper Kupp messed up his ankle. Allen Robinson wasn't the guy they hoped he'd be.
I mean, this offensive line was in shambles all season. They never really were able to replace Andrew Whitworth.
They probably still haven't replaced Andrew Whitworth.
Because they haven't had any draft picks to do so with. And they haven't had a cap space to also replace it. And they traded away Jalen Ramsey. This is not a Rams team that's going to be any good. Like I think
it's one of those. They're giving me Bears 2010, 2011 vibes. They're gonna score. They are gonna score points. They're gonna score a lot of points.
I'm not so sure about that. I think if you could lock up Cooper Kupp, I think that this offense leaves a lot to be desired. I mean, outside of Cooper Kupp,
that's easier. That's easier said than done. Like you don't think. Come on.
I do not think this will be a good football team. I have Cleveland winning this game, maybe easily.
So I'm giving the Rams. I think they're gonna average just under 30 a game. I'm gonna give them 28. I'm gonna give them 28 points a game. But the issue is, I think it's the complete opposite, right? If you stop them one time, you win. Like I think that's what it is. Like that was the issue. Like I said with those early 2000, like those mid 2000s Bears team. Like if you stop Jay Cutler and that high powered offense just one or two times, and your offense scored, that was good enough.
Yeah, it's true.
I think that's what the Rams are going to be.
I don't think the Rams are going to be any good. Teach their own. Moving on to the next game, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars coming into Cleveland, which could be for some sort of playoffs standings, ratings, whatever. How do you see the
potential playoff matchup?
Yeah, potential playoff matchup too. Jacksonville Jaguars coming into Cleveland. Who you got winning that game?
Oh, Trevor Lawrence, meet Myles Garrett. Meet Trevor Lawrence, that kind of thing. I think Jacksonville is going to be showing off the shiny new toy all season.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
And the shiny new toy just happens to be, I don't know, Calvin really. Like, what has he ever done in his career? That's hyperbole, people. This would be like one of the few perfect games for Deshaun Watson. So like every year, every so often, there's this one quarterback that they want to crown early, and Trevor Lawrence is that guy, right? Trevor Lawrence was pegged the number one draft pick when he was 17 years old before he ever threw a pass for Clemson. He's the number one quarterback in the country. You're going to be the number one overall pick. and they want him to be the face of the league so bad. And Pat Mahomes is like, no. Lamar is going to be like, yeah, no. Right? Same thing. And this is right. This is Deshaun Watson's chance to be like, y'all got all these guys ahead of me. I'm going to show y'all why my name is Deshaun Watson and who the F I am. I'm gonna go Cleveland in this game.
I'm gonna disagree with you. I'm gonna take Jacksonville. I do.
Why
think
you a hater? You a hater.
I'm not a hater. I just had them winning 3 games in a row. I'm taking the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think this could be a borderline trap game. You come off 3 impressive wins in a row. You beat Pittsburgh, you beat Denver, you beat the Rams, and then you come into town to Jacksonville. I think you lose that game. Then they got 2 games back to back against 2 of the worst teams in the NFL this season before. Chicago Bears should be much improved given their free agency and their draft. And then you got the Houston Texans, who also should be much improved and with incentive to win. Do they win either of these games? Bears come there, they go to Houston. How do you see these 2 games shaking out?
Okay, so I'm going Chicago. Obviously, I'm biased, but at the same time, I think this is the game for Justin Fields to kind of like rewrite a lot of wrongs. His career got off to a terrible start. This was his first start.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That was rough. Was it 9 sacks or 6?
Not yeah, like this was his first start of his NFL career, and you could not have picked a worse game to be your first start with that offensive line. Like a terrible offensive line against one of the premier edge rushers in the league in Myles Garrett. And it went about how you thought it would go, right? Like they made Baker Mayfield look like a Hall of Famer. Outside of the bias, I'm legit going Chicago. I think when the weak point of your defense is your secondary, and that's kind of where Cleveland's at. Like the secondary's good. Right, like the secondary is good. It's not like they got bums back there, right? Like they got a good secondary, but that's the quote unquote weak part of this defense, and it's not the same Chicago team that you faced 2 years ago, right? Where it's legit guys out there now, right? Who's gonna cover DJ Moore? Chase Claypool is a solid dude. Cole Kmet, matchup nightmare. You got Darnell Mooney coming back off, and like, bro, like they're gonna have their work cut out for them this game. Would I be surprised if they won? Absolutely not. But do I think it's gonna be a walk in the park? No.
I agree with you. I think actually both these games will be competitive, but I have Cleveland winning them both.
That's fine.
The final stretch down of the season, they go to Cincinnati, and then the New York Jets. I guess they go to New York, take Aaron Rodgers on at MetLife Stadium. Then they go to Cincinnati. 2 teams that are expected to be playoff teams. How do you think the end of the season shakes out for the Cleveland Browns, CJ?
Okay, I think so. To the first, I think they split between Chicago and Houston. Again, I'm being biased. They lose to Chicago. They beat Houston. Do they beat the Jets? Do you think they beat the Jets?
Yeah, I think they beat the Jets. I think their offensive line is going to be good enough to negate that defense a little bit, and I think their offense is going to have enough weapons. Where Sauce Gardner, I do like the other guy, the other corner on the Jets. His name is totally escaping me right now. He's a free agent acquisition this most recent season, and then I got them. Obviously, I have them losing to Cincinnati.
Yeah, I think that's how, I think they beat the Jets, lose to Cincinnati.
And then so for the final total for me, I have the Cleveland Browns at 10-7. I do not think that'll be good enough to win the division, but I do think it's good enough to be in the hunt for a playoff spot, depending on what that wild card situation looks like with, all of those teams out west, and with the AFC East having 4 potential teams that could be playoff teams.
Just like that, I became a Memphis Grizzlies fan. You'll see why in a few seconds.
Okay.
10-7. 10-7, 11-6. Yeah. I think if they go 10-7 or in that range, 10-7, 11-6, I think the high end for them is 12-5.
I agree
Very
with you on
hard.
that. Yeah, and
I think 10-7 would be good enough to keep Stefanski's job. I also don't think he. I think the seat. I don't. I don't think the seat's hot, but it's getting hot. Makes
oh, for
sense.
sure. Huh? Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
if they win 11 games and they miss the playoffs because of how stacked the AFC is, I don't think he'll be.
yeah,
I don't think he'll get fired. But
that's not his fault.
if they have a season where they win like 6 games, I think he'll be done.
Oh yeah, yeah. Anything, bro. Anything less than 9 wins, yeah, he's out of there.
I agree with you on that. But yeah, this has been our Cleveland Browns season preview. Thank you very much for checking us out here at Prime Sports World. I'm David Huffman right there. It's Mr.
And
TJ Hopkins.
some free agent signings went down during the show. Dennis Schroeder to Toronto. Derrick Rose to Memphis.
I like that fit for him actually a little bit, especially with Ja Morant missing the first quarter of the season.
25 games, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see. They're going to be breaking that down next week as we give you the winners and losers with free agency as early. It's getting off to a buzzing start. I'm David Huffman right there. It's Mr. TJ Hopkins. Thank you very much for checking us out. Please like, share, and subscribe. TJ, what do we do here at the Prime, my friend?
We bring the heat, and it's going to be hot, but at least the air quality. How's the air quality by you, by the way?
It's better now. It was
better?
bad for like all week, but it's
in the
orange range right now. So
mine is. Last time I looked, it was pretty clear. Yeah, I'm back like green yellow-ish.
Yeah, we're at the orange, so we're not at red and we're not at purple anymore. So we'll take that for right now. But yeah, we'll be back here. We'll be back here next week. I won't be back here next week. I'm going on vacation.
Yeah, enjoy, bro.
I can't wait, man. I'm looking forward to it. I'll send you guys some pictures as we go through it.
Please.
You guys all take care and be safe out there. We'll see you guys next week.
You be safe. You be safe out there.
I will be, man. I will.